Let's quickly bring you up to date with the very latest on the situation in Gaza and all that talk of a humanitarian pause. Here's the situation in Gaza.
It was an emotional day for Israeli families as the first batch of hostages reunited with their loved ones, upon release by Hamas after 2 months. Under a temporary truce deal, Hamas has agreed to release 50 hostages and Israel has agreed to a 4-day ceasefire, and on day 1 of truce, Hamas released 24 hostages, including Israeli women and children, as well as Thai farm workers. Video released by Hamas's military wing showed women and children being shepherded out of a vehicle and into the care of Red Cross workers. Upon crossing over from Gaza, the hostages were transported by helicopters to a hospital. In Israel, a jubilant crowd welcomed children and women. With Israeli flags in hand, people cheered as the helicopter carrying the hostages landed at Schneider Children's Medical Center in central Israel.
גרה פה קרוב ובאנו לתמוך בילדים ובמבוגרים שהגיעו, ואנחנו מאוד מאוד מתרגשים, אפשר לראות על הקול שלי וגם המשפחה שלי פה, ואנחנו ממש מאחלים שכולם יגיעו בשלום הביתה ועם ישראל חי, ואנחנו מאחלים בריאות לכולם ושכל החטופים יחזרו הביתה במהרה.
The Israeli-Hamas truce deal will also see 39 Palestinian prisoners set free by Israel. Israel kept its promise and released Palestinians from prison. After spending 8 years in prison, a 24-year-old Palestinian prisoner, Mara, was freed on Friday. She was arrested when she was 16 years old. Not able to hold her tears, the freed Palestinian's mother continued to hug her daughter.
انتوا كنتوا طبعا معنا بيوم اول هايكم شفتوا مرة وصح مرة حلوة زي ما قلت لكم ما كذبتش عليكم. طب مرحبا.
The release of the first batch of hostages brought some much-needed relief, but other Israeli family members of hostages still held in Gaza kept an eye open for when their own family members will be freed.
We are very happy to see that they are back home, and we can't wait to see others come back as well.
The Israeli military said the released hostages underwent a medical assessment inside Israeli territory before being taken to hospitals to be reunited with their families. They are ensuring that all medical and psychological care is given to the freed hostages. Meanwhile, in Gaza, Israel silenced the guns, allowing more humanitarian aid to reach Gaza. For the first time in 48 days, the sound of war was replaced by the sound of car horns. Gazans came out of hospitals, school buildings, where they had sought refuge during the Israeli bombardment. A number of Palestinians returned to their destroyed homes to try and retrieve belongings from under the rubble.
بيتي انهدم كله، هاي اللي طلعت منه، هذا اللي طلعت فيه، الحمد لله على كل شيء، حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. البيوت انهدمت، البشر ماتوا، الحجر انكسر.
Internally displaced and virtually all of the 2.3 million people urgently need aid. Tankers with fuel and cooking gas entered the Gaza Strip on Friday. Israel has agreed to allow the delivery of 130,000 litres of fuel a day into the besieged Palestinian enclave for the duration of the truce. Remember, for most of the past 7 weeks of war, Israel had barred the entry of any fuel to Gaza, claiming it could be used by Hamas for military purposes. And as Palestinians received much-needed humanitarian aid, Israel reminded the world that the truce was temporary. The Israeli forces are using the 4-day truce with Hamas to prepare the next phase of their operation in Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he was committed to achieving all the goals of war.
השלמנו עכשיו את החזרת ראשוני חטופינו. ילדים, האימהות שלהם, נשים נוספות, כל אחת ואחת מהן עולם ומלואו. אבל אני מדגיש לכם, המשפחות ולכם אזרחי ישראל, אנחנו מחויבים להחזרת כל חטופינו. זוהי אחת ממטרות המלחמה, ואנחנו מחויבים להשיג את כל מטרות המלחמה.
7 weeks of captivity, 7 weeks of worry for the families of some hostages, 7 weeks of relentless bombardment of Gaza has now hit a pause. For weeks, the international community pressed for the pause in fighting in the face of the humanitarian crisis that unfolded in Gaza. It was Qatar that mediated the deal between Israel and Hamas, along with the United States. They will be monitoring the 4-day truce to ensure the terms of the deal are followed. But with both sides unequivocal in their condemnations of each other until the last moment, it remains to be seen whether they will adhere to the terms of the agreement. Bureau Report, WION World is One.